Hello and welcome to Sobrix. I'm Adam and this is Sobrix. This is my channel for reviewing Lego sets and building them and other Lego related stuff. In this video, I'm going to be taking a look at the Lego Star Wars BARC Speeder Escape, or BARC Speeder Escape set. This is set number 75378. It has 221 pieces, and I paid $25 for this set. It's been a little while since I've looked at a Star Wars set, at least like a Star Wars boxed set. I've looked at some poly bags, I've looked at some of the magazine stuff, and there are several sets, the Sith Infiltrator, this one, the battle pack with the super droids, as well as the Dark Falcon, and there's a ton of other sets. There's a diorama set I haven't looked at, so I'm gonna try to get around to some more Star Wars stuff. The Ahsoka one as well, if I can find a deal. Part of the reason I haven't got them is mostly financial. They look interesting to me, but I would prefer to get them on sale if I could, just because I wasn't super keen on a lot of their pricing. But this one did retail for $30 and I got it for $25, so it's $5 off. It's not quite 20% off. That would be like $6 off, but it's close. So I still thought that it was worth picking up, and so I decided to grab it. For some of those other ones I might wait for other sales. The Dark Falcon probably won't go on sale for a while. That might just be one I will one of the bigger sets that I buy. Some of the other ones I think would go on sale. The diorama, the all the other ones I mentioned, Ahsoka Tano's Starfighter or whatever, and the battle pack and whatever else. So I'll look out for those in the future, but I did grab this. So in this video, I'm going to open this up, I'm going to put this together, and then I'm going to share my thoughts on it. So while I build, I will speed the video up, and then I'll slow it back down to review this set. So until then, enjoy. Okay, so while we look at the build for this Lego Star Wars BARC Speeder Escape set, I just wanted to say thanks for watching, and then remind you, if you like the video, click the thumbs up. If you like my other videos, click the subscribe button. We're on the road to 2,000 subscribers. So we start out building kind of the main speeder bike portion of this, and there's some interesting building techniques in here. Not a ton, a little bit of asymmetry, a lot of sub-assemblies done here to connect all the component parts. For the most of it, it's only 2 studs wide, so we do have to be a little bit creative with some things, and it also does limit the just amount of different building techniques that can be utilized. We add on kind of the rear, the seat area, and then we can start working on the sidecar. So putting the sidecar together is also pretty straightforward, but it looks pretty nice. And then at the end here, we have a little bit of a side build. We have the carriage for Grogu, and that's pretty much it, as well as, we obviously have the minifigures over there. And now on to my review for this set. Okay, so here we have the Lego Star Wars BARC Speeder Escape set. This is cool. I actually like this. As I understand it, this vehicle has been represented in Lego form a couple different times. This is just the most recent time, so I'm excited to look at it. Maybe I'll go back and look at some old ones. I do not believe I have any other sets from the previous iterations of this, so I'll have to see if I can get those at some point, but we will get into this. And the first thing we will look at is the minifigures, because you do get some. The first one we will take a look at is one I'm not super familiar with. This is Kellerin Beck, B-E-Q as the last name. They are a Jedi from like the Jedi Temple stuff, I believe. They're a master swordsman, really good with lightsabers. It's one of the few times you see a dual wielding Jedi, and they have different, kind of lightsabers. I'm used to seeing different lightsabers with like Grievous or something, because Grievous collected them, but this is cool to see. So they're dual wielding those. We have like kind of the green one and the blue one here. And then the minifigure is actually really good, even though I'm not super familiar with this character. Headpiece is fine. I believe this character was played by the actor who played Jar Jar Binks, and without makeup, CGI, or whatever else, or maybe they just did the voice for Jar Jar. I'm not really sure, or mocap or something. But a little bit of facial there, a little bit in the eyes, so that's good. Nice brown cape. It's a 2-hole cape. It's kind of spongy, not super stiff or anything like that. And then I really like the torso. So we have some Jedi robes here, kind of this tan color, but up on like the lapel area or around the neck, there's this really awesome gold, like fine line details in there, and it's hard to see, but up close it's really, really cool. And that's on both, like over here and over on this side. So that gold is really nice. They have kind of a belt or a tie around their waist that is actually above the midsection there, but also some really good details. There is a little bit of printing on the midsection for sort of the panels of the robe there. And then there's printing down onto the legs, which is great to see. No printing on the arms. Back of the torso is what one might expect. There is that gold up around there at the top near the neck, which is great, and then some folds over their robes as well as the back of the belt type thing there. So this is a good minifigure. Yeah, I really, really like that gold. There's a lot of fine details even on the like tan that's even closer to the neck than the gold. There's good details in there. Nice differences in line weight and thickness, and all the like little folds and little details like that look appropriate. So I really like that. And then you get 2 501st clone troopers. These are exactly the same, and so we'll just look at them here. They're pretty standard to the modern 501st that we've seen. I've looked at them from other sets. They do have the blaster here. They have kind of the bigger helmet with the holes on the side for accessories. This one doesn't come with the antenna or visor or whatever, the comm device that could go in there. So that's that. But we have the nice, I think, blue detailing in here, as well as like kind of underneath there. Production work on those is fine. Basic clone trooper head. Torso is pretty good. Have the utility belt down there, kind of their armor, their clone trooper suit with the blue for the 501st. No printing on the midsection, but then we do have printing on the legs all the way down to the feet, which is nice. No printing on the arms. Back of the torso is okay. The back of the belt, back of their armor or their suit there. So some good detail, but pretty standard. So you get 2 of those, each with the blaster, the same blaster, no other accessories. There's not really differences between these as far as I know. So I think these are identical, which is okay. I think 501st Troopers are some are a type or a legion that people like to get a lot of, and they make sense for this scene. And then we also get a Grogu figure here. So it's 2 pieces, the little body with all the printing and stuff like that, and the arms, tiny hands, and we have the head, which is kind of the more spongy, but like stiffer, spongy kind of material. Grogu, Baby Yoda, whatever, has appeared in a bunch of sets, and this is another one, so that's fine. And then I wanted to talk about kind of the side build first, because this is a little bit weird to me. I didn't know what this was, and it appears to be a light fixture, not a street light, but there was some of these lights that were near the Jedi Temple, and so I believe this is supposed to represent one of those. At first, based on like the box and stuff like that, I thought maybe it was going to be like a stand to be able to hold the main build. That does not appear to be the case. I would have preferred it if it could like double as that to kind of get this in an action thing, and kind of up on its own, but it would be easy enough to make a mock version as a stand for this, I'm assuming. So this is just a light fixture, not a ton of pieces used, but more than I maybe would have liked for something that's what I would consider kind of superfluous. I don't know if it adds a ton. There's no like play features. It's not helpful for storage. It's not that useful for display. So it seems like kind of one of those extra things where they had, they needed to put however many more pieces in the set to reach whatever dollar amount they set the price at, or what the set was going to cost, and the designer wanted to add something. I don't know if this is where I would have wanted that to go personally, and I already have issues with the value in the set, and this doesn't make me feel a ton better. So this to me is not great. Maybe people got a bunch of these, and when they made a Jedi temple or something, a mock, like they used a design similar to this or this exact thing to replicate those light fixtures. To me, this is a bit of a bummer here, because it's just not useful for the set. Doesn't feel like integral to the set. Like I said, no play features, no like functions there, and not a ton of display value. And on its own, I don't know how recognizable it is, even as a light thing. Like I said, I don't know if I would have known that by looking at the box or anything there. But that's just the side builds. And then I wanted to talk about the main build, and it's kind of broken up into a couple different parts. So this is actually the last thing you build, but this is Grogu's little hovercraft carriage type thing, and so there's a jumper in there, and we can stud them down. They look good in there. I've seen this. I don't know if it's always built the same way, but this one's all right. And then we do have this translucent disc piece that we can add to the bottom. So if this was kind of wanting to be on its own, that's okay there. And then the BARC speeder is broken down into two kind of sections as well. There's kind of the main section here, and then the sidecar. And I believe at various points Lego has put out sets where it's just the speeder, or other times it's the speeder and the sidecar. And thinking about those, I think I watched the Jang review of this a while back when it came out. I think they talked about the size, that maybe Lego hasn't quite gotten this correct in terms of scale. Either they're too big or too small or whatever. None of them were like just right. This one does feel a little bit big compared to minifigure scale from the images that I looked at of when this has been shown. I believe technically this is from a flashback in Mandalorian Season 3. So it's probably a little bit upscaled, but I do like the size of it, all things considered. And you start building the kind of main speeder here. And this was kind of interesting because it's broken up into different sub-assemblies, and it has some unique building techniques going throughout here. It's only like 2 studs wide for the most of it, a little bit wider up at the front, wider at the rear, but a lot of it is only 2 studs wide. We do use like these step pieces in here, which are like a plate and then a vertical wall and then another plate to like lock things in. You use another one that's slightly different, not as tall, over here. There's also some like bracket usage and some studs on the side stuff. These, I don't know if they're like thrusters or what they are. Technically, they have like the little like ski piece here on the end, which is maybe it's not a ski piece, but I thought it was not one of the longer ones, but a piece that's been around for a long time. Do have the red translucent on the back, so that leads me to believe that maybe they're like thrusters. That's its own subassembly. A couple stickers are used there, so the one over here is a sticker, the kind of tubing over here is a sticker. Not super vital, probably could be left off without missing too much, but they're easy enough to put on. They don't bother me that much, and it's a little bit of extra detail. I kind of like how the silver looks on there. I also like the asymmetry. This vehicle has a lot of asymmetry because it has the sidecar. There is a lot of jumper use in here because it's 2 studs, but we do get down to 1 stud, so we build out a little bit to have this kind of curve or this slope. Another sticker is used right up here, and I think I did an okay job lining it up kind of with the brown that's underneath. Not perfect, but close, and so that's okay, but I didn't have a ton of room to work with. That's another sticker. Might not be necessary, but probably be left off without losing too much. So there's only 4 stickers in the set, and 3 of them are back here. I don't know how important they are personally, but I do like to, do things as the instructions do them, except for like rare cases like the Ecto 1. I didn't want to put all the like rust or wear and tear stickers on there, but for this I did that. We do have the seat area here, a little bracket, the half tile, half plate piece there. We have the handlebar or the steering here, and there's space for a minifigure to sit there. Some brackets used on the side, kind of just for some detailing there, and then we extend out the front a bunch. So again, too wide through a lot of this, but we do use some jumpers to get this nice slope here. Up at the front, I like how this was done. We have the same kind of ski things here done the same way as they were at the rear. We also have stud shooters up here, which do add a little bit of width to the front end. There's red studs in there, and you get a couple extras, so a little bit of play there. And then they use like the ratchet joint type piece through the kind of handlebar piece for like that extra detail on the nose. I like the angle here for this. It feels appropriate, so that's really nice. And then there is some symmetry. The asymmetry comes kind of when we have to account for some of the Technic that's used in here. There's just a little bit of Technic with these ratchet joints to attach the sidecar. Technically, you can, move these a little bit. I don't know how useful that is or how accurate that is, but there are ways that I think it looks quite good when it's offset a little bit, but that does make it sit a little bit funny. So when they are kind of parallel with each other or level with each other, it works out. The kind of joints for those are actually offset by 1 plate, so that's kind of nice. I think it gives it a little more structural integrity there, and it works out well. It also looks a little bit nicer than them just being in line with each other, so they're just offset a little bit there. And then because of all that, to accommodate these extra pieces over on this side that aren't present on the other side, there is some asymmetry internally here because we had an extra 1x2 and 1x2 with the ratchet joint pieces built into there that aren't present here. You can see the back of one of them, but like the other one that's opposite, probably about right here, is not visible from this side. So that's kind of interesting. And then we build the sidecar, and the sidecar's cool. It's pretty bulky, and I think it looks about right, and it's built I would say it's pretty standard. We can see on the bottom here we do have the kind of clear inverted tiles under both the sidecar and the main speeder, as well as the inverted flat tile, which is a relatively new piece up at the front. So when this is even, these are at the same level. This can slide around very easily, which is nice, and it also does kind of give it the impression that it's sort of hovering or flying or floating there, so we can see that a little bit. This is also too wide for most of it. Has the little ski area thing clipped on at the back. We use these kind of quarter dome slope pieces at the rear here. Build this up. There's some interesting building in here with the 1x3 round plates with the hollow studs. So again, some asymmetry. We have one here, and then we have one over here that's offset by one stud, and then we have a couple going across. So you can see those 1x3s in there, which help to transition from, 2 studs to 3 studs to 1 stud to kind of get this all working. Ingot here used for the back, couple of jumpers in there, a slope, and then we clip on this subassembly at the front. This is another sticker here. It's probably the most important one, I would say, just because it's pretty important to the look of this. The production on these sticker was okay. I felt like this one has some like weird streaking in it, not necessarily print lines, but just like the color is not consistent through it. And the color match is actually pretty good, I would say. So that's nice. This can be angled a little bit here at the front, not a ton, but that's a nice little subassembly. I would say that sticker is probably the most important one, and these other ones are kind of just that extra detail, which that doesn't bother me. They're all easy to apply, not a big deal. And then, yeah, we do have those 2 jumpers there, and that is so we can load up the kind of carriage or whatever here for Grogu into the sidecar, and we can lean that back, and that fits in there really nicely. They look good when they're in there. You can still kind of see Grogu's head. This isn't the carriage thing, or their crib or whatever isn't too big, so it's like 2 studs with a little bit of extra because of these curves on the side, wide, and it doesn't feel out of place here just because like this kind of extends out, it flares out a little bit wider, and then the dome pieces back here are a little bit wider. So I actually think this flows really nicely and looks quite good. We can add Keller and Beck to this to show maybe when they are flying this or piloting this. We can kind of see what it looks like there. One of my complaints about this is no storage for lightsabers. I know that's not always the easiest thing to incorporate into a build. For this character, they have the hilt, in their robe or whatever, or both hilts in their robes, so you wouldn't see them. And for play, it can make sense that this might drive up and then they hop off and do some Jedi stuff, and then they pull out their lightsabers. So it doesn't necessarily need, places for them to be stored. I would have liked it. I don't know if I would want to sacrifice anything specifically, like if they made this thicker and there was a place to put these in there. I don't know if you have much room, and I don't know if it's worth adding some thickness. Same like down here. I don't know if it's doable and how much it would compromise the overall look of this. And then like clipping them on places is usually not the best. It's something that I do like a lot of times, but it can stick out a little bit when they're clipped on. It can sort of look a little goofy and a little bit weird. So I understand why they didn't do that. It seems to make sense to me, but it's just one thing to consider. Like if this is being played with, it'd be helpful to have these, be nearby, depending on what kind of play or what sort of narrative we're doing. If we're reenacting a certain scene, they might want to have the lightsabers very near to this, and because there's no storage, it's just slightly easier to lose them. That's for me, but also for all different builders of all and fans of all different types. And so, I just like to point that out. I don't know if there was a storage thing that could have been made in here. Maybe, probably not to fit both of these. That could have at least given it a little bit more utility. Also, there's not really storage for the extra studs. There are probably places on here you could put them, and it wouldn't be too big of a deal. You have a couple studs there. Like I said, you do have the ones on the side here. You could probably put them on the side with the sidecar, and they wouldn't be as visible as they would be, over on this side. So there maybe are places pieces, you could pop those on just to be able to reload these stud shooters, but there's not like a box or a crate or an area that you can drop these into to store them. Not a big deal, but again, for play, for whatever, when these are fired out of here, they tend to bounce and go a little bit crazy, so they are prone to being misplaced or lost or hard to find. So I do like when there's storage for those. I'm sure they could have put, something in here that could store those. I don't know how much sense that makes or if that's worth it. They're not on the vehicle itself, so they would just be in the side build. It's still something to consider. And that's kind of everything here. I'll show the extra pieces. Like I said, we do have the 2 studs, red translucent studs in these stud shooters right now loaded in there. We have 2 extra ones, and then you get a 5th one there. We also have the trigger mechanism for the stud shooter. This gold bar piece is used in a place you can't see, actually, in the back of this kind of the sidecar area there. Extra hilt, your 1x1s, your studs, your tiles, your plates. Interesting color hollow stud there that's also used internally here, and all your different little 1x1s, tiny pieces. So those are the extra pieces. And this set is 221 pieces, and I paid $25 for it. It retails for $30. And I felt a little bit weird about that, but you do get 3 minifigures. I don't know how many times Keller and Beck has been in a set, so and it's done really well. It does have printing on the midsection, the legs, and the extra kind of detail with that gold to differentiate it between other Jedis, which is really, really nice. So it is a good quality figure, and that's worth at least something. If it's kind of a lesser known or less common figure, that could be worth something as well. The 501st Troopers are nice for people who like to get a lot of those. I believe you can get them in battle packs, and you can get them in tons of other sets. So, they're not especially valuable, but you do get 2 of them here, which is not nothing. It's better than getting 1. And then you get Grogu. I never know how to value Grogu, but it is something. It is another character that can be played with there. And then we get the actual build, and there are pieces used up for the light fixture, the side build there, and then we have this. Now this on its own, just the vehicle, sidecar, everything included here, doesn't feel like $30 to me. If we add in Grogu with their kind of carriage thing there, it still doesn't get to the $30 mark to me. Maybe in the $15, $10 to $15. Yeah, 15 I could probably say for this, just because the amount of stuff, the weight of the plastic that's here, and what went into the build and what the final model looks like. Yeah, 15 I could maybe even convinced up to 20. And if I did give this $20 and $5 or less for each minifigure, then we're getting close to the $30 mark. This doesn't add a ton of value. In fact, I maybe wish these parts were used for something else, or just removed and making this set a little bit cheaper. This isn't a $5 side build, and so I don't know if they could reasonably remove this and add in another figure, maybe a figure on the smallest legs, like one of the younglings or something like that, could have been included in here. But this didn't need to be here, so that just feels like extra, although I don't know how much really this inflates the price. I believe that it was merely added because they wanted this set to be $30, and so the designer went in with certain constraints and a rough idea of how many pieces they wanted to use, and maybe with this and the figures, it wasn't quite there. There's a whole complicated process for how sets get designed. They might get a price, an MSRP price, before they're designed, and also a rough piece count, rough minifigure count, sort of before the designer really gets super in depth and long before they get into production. So I guess this was what the designer thought to add, which I'm not personally a huge fan of. I did think this set was overpriced, and I have to say maybe it's not as bad as I thought, just because if this is a $15 vehicle, which, yeah, I mean, I think maybe if it's 200 pieces or whatever here, or just under, yeah, maybe that makes sense. And if you go by $5 a figure, then we get to $30 pretty easily. I don't know if I value the 501st Troopers at $5 a piece, and I don't know if Keller and Beck is a figure that maybe sells for $7, $8, $9, $10 a piece or something like that. I frankly don't know, but if that's the average of a minifigure, okay. I tend to put the average a little bit lower than that for sets like this, because like CMF stuff is $5, so that's just how I feel about that. But if they were $5, and I'll just operate under that assumption, then we have like $15 in figures, plus Grogu, and then maybe a $15 build here with all the actual like vehicle stuff, and that gets you to $30. I paid $25 for this. I think that's probably where I would have wanted this priced at initially. 27 would have been okay. That would have been a 10% off from where it was. 24 would be 20% off, which feels good. I got this for not quite 20% off, so $25, $5 off. I think 25 probably would have been a good price for this to be on these shelves at, and then kind of knowing that at various times it might go on sale for 20% off or 15% off, and then we're getting down closer to the $20 mark. I think that is a much more compelling value proposition, and it would have been I would have picked this up much earlier if this was a $20 set or on sale for $20 or a $25 set. Obviously I did pay $25 now based on it being discounted from $30. I don't love $30 as a price for this. It doesn't feel great to me. It's not the worst value set I've ever seen. So it's kind of in this middle zone. I think it would have been really strong, or a lot stronger, had it been slightly cheaper. So maybe they put this at $27. It's comparable maybe with a Speed Champion, but it has different licensing, more figures, whatever else. And I think that makes sense to me, and maybe 25 is a little bit greedy on my end for them to put this at retail. So somewhere in there I think feels about right in 2024 or 2023, or going forward. At various points in the past, this might have been a $20 set out of the gate, but I have to take into account the time we're in and the modern pricing scheme. Overall, I did enjoy the build. This is pretty useless to me. The figures are all right. 501st, great to get more of them. I think Keller and Beck is actually really, really nicely done, and I liked the build for this. I'm not super weirded out about the scale or anything. I think this is a cool, unique design. It's nice to get another kind of speeder, and I'd be really interested in looking at other versions of this from other Lego sets, so I'm going to try and look into getting more of those, because I do enjoy the concept here, and I think this represents it relatively well. So even if I think it's overpriced, there's still good stuff in here. It's not perfect, but it's maybe as good as it can be, without sacrificing some things. So all my comments about storage or whatever like that, those they might not be worth changing this design too much to accommodate for those, and that's just something I have to accept, and that's okay. So the value, fine. I'm glad I got it on sale. Maybe would have liked it to see it be retailing at that sale price initially, but that's that. Happy to look at another Star Wars set. It's been a little while, and I'm looking forward to looking at some more, because there are several that I am very, very interested in. So I think that's it. This is okay. If you like this video, please click the thumbs up and give it a like. And if you like my other videos, click the subscribe button down below so you can stay up to date on all the Lego videos I'll be doing here in the future, including more Lego Star Wars, potentially more BARC BARC speeders from other sets in the past, and then tons of other LEGO sets from all different themes, all different shape, size, price point, piece count. So subscribe so you don't miss any of my upcoming LEGO videos. Subscriptions help me a lot. We're on the road to 2,000 subscribers. Be incredible to get there. I'll try to plan something for that if we ever get there. Thank you so much. Thank you everybody who's already subscribed. If you're not subscribed, maybe consider doing it. It is extremely helpful. And then if you wanted to help the channel in a different way, support the channel financially, you can do that. That's a huge help as well. You can do that here on YouTube with membership, supers, and thanks. There's also a link in the description to quote unquote buy me a coffee. There's also a link to the Patreon. All that helps. It's essentially giving money to the channel, which will be used to improve my setup equipment and my my camera, maybe having multiple cameras, and also for procuring these sets. And so it's a huge help. Other times other supporters have like sent polybags or sent sets to me. That's amazing too. I would love to continue to do like giveaways at huge milestones. So the next one is probably going to be 2,000, hoping to get there, and we'll go from there. But there, just all that is to say, there are ways of supporting the channel, and that stuff really, really helps. So I very much appreciate it. And with all that said, until next time, thanks. Bye.